Welcome to episode 691 of the Entertainment 2.0 podcast, brought to you by thedigitalmediazone.com. I'm Josh Pollard.
And I'm Richard Gunther, and this is the occasional show that puts you in control of your favorite movies, music shows, and games.
Recording podcast whenever life doesn't get in the way.
Yeah, we're doing our best. It's been crazy. It continues to be crazy.
Yes. There were multiple times where we were so close, including last week. Last week, we were like, let's record on Wednesday. And Wednesday was working great for one of us, but it wasn't great for the other. And so I was like, how about we just record on Thursday? And as soon as I said that, I thought, I know that Thursday's like something is going to blow up and Thursday's not going to work. And sure enough, Thursday blew up and it didn't work. And that's happened at least once or twice in the last few weeks. So apologies.
Yeah, and it was the other one of us that it blew up for. So we're both to blame. What can we tell you?
Right. Okay. Well, we do have a few weeks of listener feedback to get to.
Funny about that.
Yeah. So if you want to send us some feedback for a future episode, all of our contact information will be at the end of the show or over at our website at www.thedigitalmediazone.com. But if email is your favorite medium, entertainment20 at thedigitalmediazone.com is the address. So first up, we got a message from Kyle. This was maybe the oldest one, and I'm really glad I just emailed this guy back. A lot of times we just respond over podcast, and this time I did actually, reply to him directly. So he hasn't been waiting that long. Kyle says, every time I use my Frame TV remote to turn it on, my Xbox Series S also turns on. As far as I know, I've tried this with CEC, that's HDMI CEC, enabled and disabled. In practice, this means that every time we turn on the TV, someone in the family has to say, hey, G-word, turn off the Xbox. It's pretty annoying. Do you have any ideas? I do have ideas. A couple of ideas, partly because Kyle was not super specific in where he said he has tried enabling and disabling HDMI CEC. And there's a couple of places that might need to be adjusted here. So the first one I would say is check your Xbox. And finding your way through the Xbox settings can be a little bit complicated. So I will lay it all out for you. Go into settings, then general, then TV and display options, then device control. And there's a checkbox there that says HDMI CEC. Uncheck that. That's the first thing. That should be enough, especially if it's the Xbox that's doing it. However, your TV might just, be configured to turn stuff on, especially if it's already on that input. Like, is this really happening every single time you turn the TV on? Or is it you finished your night playing Xbox, left it on that input, turn the TV off, and then the next morning you turn the TV on and it was on the Xbox input already, so it turned the Xbox on for you. That, again, turning off HDMI CEC on the Xbox could solve this for you automatically. However, it could be the TV. So I don't have a Samsung Frame TV. Richard, you do, so maybe you can confirm some of this. But lots of TVs out there do allow you to specify HDMI CEC control per HDMI input. And so if your Frame TV supports that, you could, assuming that you want HDMI CEC for other devices on your TV, you might be able to just disable CEC for the input that you have your Xbox plugged into. Richard, you've got a Frame TV. Any other suggestions here?
I do. My challenge is that my Frame TV and any of the Samsung TVs that we have at our rental place are all relatively older. They're 4 or 5 years old. So they don't have this per input option. It's just one HDMI CEC option for the whole TV. I think it's under system, if I remember correctly. And of course, it's named weirdly. It's not just labeled HDMI CEC. At least it isn't on the version of the OS that I have on my TVs.
Yeah. I was trying to remember what they called it off the top of my head. And I can't remember. It looks like they might call it AnyNet Plus, which is a terrible name.
Oh, wow. That's just, yeah. Thank you for branding that.
Right. Wow, that's not even close. Like, I figured it would at least have the word connect in it or something, but no, because I think on my super old Samsung, no, that couldn't have had it. I thought they called it like Smart Connect or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, look around for whatever the heck your Samsung TV calls HDMI CEC and try to turn it off in there.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, we also have a message from Joe responding to the 50 states in 50 days that we were talking about earlier. He says, "Hello, Richard and Josh. It's Joe, longtime friend of the show. The recommendation from Josh of the YouTube series 50 States in 50 Days by Ryan Tranhan.
It's Trahan. He's got an extra N in there that I should have cut out.
Okay, that's okay. Trahan is very addictive. Addicting? I don't know. We are 25 episodes into the series, watching multiples per day. I'm guessing by now they're probably done.
Oh, yeah, it's done.
He continues, I am guessing by the time the next Entertainment 2.0 podcast drops, we could be done. Hey, there you go.
I'm betting he's done by now.
I'm betting he's done. Richard, you need to give this series a try. All right. So, have you watched all of it, Josh?
Yeah, we watched all of it. This was this was how we started our summer. Like every day, this is how we watched dinner. We sat down on the couch and we watched the latest episode of this series.
So because it's been so long since we've talked about this, I don't remember. Did you talk about how long each of these is?
So most of them were probably in the 20 to 30 minute range.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, there are a couple that got closer to an hour, and I think like the last one is about an hour long. But most of them are 20 to 30 minutes. And frankly, so like I've mentioned, the whole thing behind this was a fundraiser for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of every episode, he also reads messages from people who donated over $5,000. And so as the series goes on,
could skip those.
Yeah. At the end as the series goes on, that section gets longer and longer.
It's longer.
You could skip through that, and I will say that I did on a time or two. So yes, there are ways to make these episodes shorter for sure. So okay, last up, a frequent contributor to the show, Gary, wrote in with an interesting idea. He said, recently, instead of a drunken late night Amazon regret purchase.
Oh, I've done that.
Right. I plugged a text list of all of my Blu-rays and then added my iTunes list into a prompt to Claude AI. And I asked it, based on this list, against Rotten Tomatoes scores, suggest Blu-rays that I might like to buy. And it gave him a really interesting list. And like he went on and he showed us some of the things that it suggested. He suggested some alternative prompts around like, what about based on the musical scores from these? And and the one that I really liked, Richard, was which of the movies in my iTunes collection should I buy the 4K Blu-ray for? Because it's known to have exceptional audio and video quality. I really like that prompt because a lot of times when there's a movie that I want to own, I will go and search like, is this worth owning on 4K Blu-ray? Is it actually that much better? And if not, like I'm probably just going to buy it digitally. But this is kind of a fun prompt.
Yeah, for sure. And you can imagine if you have, say, an Atmos home theater set up, you could also ask about discs that have received good reviews for their Atmos immersiveness, right? Like the ways that you could take this to get the things that you are most interested in tweaking and expanding your library are fascinating. I love this idea.
Yeah, this is really great. Now, I wonder how well it would do if you were like, these are the things that I like. And here are the subscription services that I'm subscribed to. What things should I watch based on the things that I'm subscribed to? That I'm not sure that Claude would do as great, or any of these LLMs would do as great of a job of knowing what libraries are available in the different streaming services, but it would still be fun to try.
It would, but just keep in mind that these services change all the time. So I think the only thing that it could potentially recommend reliably would be originals to those services.
Right. Or what you could, and you're gonna like this, Richard. What you could do is just suggest some things, and then you could use Plex to search for that suggestion, because Plex will tell you where you can stream it.
Wow. All right. I'll take that volley, and I'll say thank you, Gary, for this amazing recommendation. And I think we're going to give this a try, but you led us perfectly into our first story for this episode. Wow. Thank you, Josh. So by this point in time, you have hopefully heard that Plex had a data breach. This was back a month ago now, on August 23rd. And I have to say, they were quick to respond to it. Within a day, they started contacting customers. And it appears as though for those customers that were impacted, not all customers were impacted. They said a majority of their customers' data was accessed. And that access included passwords and other information. And so they sent out a message that said, even though, this is a quote, even though all account passwords that could have been accessed were hashed and secured in accordance with best practices, out of an abundance of caution, we are requiring that Plex accounts have their password reset. So you and I talked about this. This was a month ago that this happened. I remember getting this. I don't think either you nor I remember whether we actually did reset our passwords for this, but we must have, right?
But probably the the email from them actually says that they kindly suggest or something like that you should. And I would imagine that if you went to the web interface to log in, it would force you to it. But the most recent thing that I got a new phone recently, and so I had to relog into Plex there. And on the mobile app, it didn't make me change my password. So either it doesn't, or I did and don't remember changing it. What I do remember checking was my password a password that I shared with other services? And thank God it wasn't, because I use a password manager. So I used a randomly generated password, which, let this be another reminder. If you're not using a password manager for these types of things, you should be, because the worst possible thing typically about a data breach like this is now people have access to your password. And if you're using it at other places,
right,
they could be logging into your Amazon, your bank account, whatever. Like, don't reuse passwords.
Right. That could provide them to access to other services that you use. Right. Exactly. So obviously use your best password practices, reset your password if you haven't already. If they didn't actually require it, I don't know where I got this quote that suggests that they required you to, but I'll have to follow up on that. In any event, good on them for being on top of it and being transparent about it and getting out to people right away. Oftentimes this stuff happens and you don't hear about it for months.
Right. Yep.
So
there you go. Go change your password if you haven't already. And if you're not already, use a password manager for storing and creating that password.
Random question to you, Josh. Did you have to go into Plex specially for when you heard about this? Because I don't know about you, but I'm not using Plex that often anymore.
I use Plex for two things. One, for looking where shows are available to watch. Like, that really is my go-to place to find out where I can stream something.
Oh, okay.
And for occasionally watching things in your library.
Yep.
So, yeah. In fact, my own Plex server is it even running right now? It might be running. But my Plex library is so small. Like, most of my media consumption, I've moved digital, digital purchases and stuff. So,
yep.
Yeah. And I don't use it for DVRing very often because I don't DVR very often. I watch live TV, and for that, I'll typically just use the HD Home Run app natively.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think, I have YouTube TV, and I gave up on using Plex as a DVR long ago. It may be dramatically improved from when I last used it, but it was just never up where I needed it to be. If you remember, I was using channels for a while for that.
Yes. And I was too. And maybe I should give it another try because my youngest daughter loves George and Mandy's First Wedding, or whatever the heck that show is called. New season is coming up soon. If you want to stream it, it's on Paramount, I think.
Yes.
It's one of the services I don't have, and I'm not subscribing to this service just for the show when I could just DVR it. So maybe I'll just get my Plex server working correctly, set up the DVR, teach her how to use Plex to watch recorded TV shows.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. All of our video news this week sucks. Plex data breach, and now bad news because price hikes, and especially poor timing for a price hike. If you are a Disney Plus or a Hulu subscriber, you may already know this. Prices are going up for all of these services.
Yeah. Messages went out. We got alerted about this week, I believe.
Yep. I got an email about it. I opened up Hulu like yesterday, and when we opened up Hulu, it was like, hey, big news. You're going to pay more starting next month.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, Disney, read the room.
Exactly. The timing here terribly. What Richard, why is the timing so bad for Disney to be increasing prices?
Just for some context, people were a little bit up in arms about the fact that Disney made the decision to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air, and that's been perceived by a lot as coercion by the administration against First Amendment rights, free speech rights.
Right.
So yeah, they've been seeing a lot of pushback on that, so much that in fact they reversed their decision.
Right. Potentially because one of the ways that people were showing their anger towards this was they all started canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions.
Right.
Yep. So sometimes boycotts have a positive impact on what you're trying to get done. There's no proof of correlation there or causation, but
So I mean, you got to raise the rates to keep bringing the revenue in. Then
exactly. I'm not going to cover every single price increase here because I love Disney's bundles, except for when I have to talk about them on the podcast because it's so complicated. So if all you care about is Disney Plus, the version with ads is going from $10 to $12 a month. If you want the no ads version, it's going from $16 to $19 a month. Hulu's seen basically the same level of increase in its prices, and then the bundles are also going up. So if you're looking at I don't know what I'm paying for it anymore, especially since I actually pay I pay for Hulu separately. I'm billed for Hulu separately, but then Disney and ESPN is together.
You know why?
I don't remember why, but it's because of how old this bundle is.
Right. Because you and I originally signed up for Disney from the beginning.
Yeah.
And when they offered Disney initially, we paid for 3 years up front at a ridiculous $5 and something a month.
Right.
And when that ended, then we got grandfathered into a bundle, but we already had Disney accounts. And so they had to figure out how to tie in our Hulu accounts to that.
Right. So if you're looking for Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN Plus, which I don't think they're calling ESPN Plus anymore, with no ads, that's going from $27 a month to $30 a month. And then there's also bundles with HBO. It's complicated. Basically, you're paying a couple dollars extra a month, regardless of what platform or what bundle you've got. That's what this
in
breaks
most
down
cases, it's really just like $3. I think the thing to note here with you. So first of all, I forgot that they had HBO bundles, or maybe this is new. I don't know.
It's relatively new, but it's not brand new.
Okay. So I totally forgot about that. And I also bought a phone recently, and that phone purchase was not with AT&T.
What?
Which means that I no longer get HBO Max for free with my phone service.
Wow.
So now I have to figure out how to get HBO Max. And I was looking into this thinking, oh, well, maybe this is the right bundle for me. That was last week. Then on Friday, I was thinking, oh, maybe I should just cancel it all.
Right.
And then now I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's safe to go ahead and get it. But anyway.
Yeah.
So in my research, what I learned is that these two bundles that they offer with HBO Max, one is without ads and one is with ads. The one without ads does not include 4K video.
What?
So if you have the HBO Max premium plan that includes 4K video, that's not part of this. That's not what this is. And if you want that, you can't bundle it with this. There's no discounting. It's just not a part of it at all. You still have to go to HBO for that.
Yeah.
Or Warner for that. Or maybe it's going to be Skydance for that in the future. Who knows?
Check back on a future episode.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
So we're kind of jumping into what's going on in our entertainment centers here, but we both just got new phones. You were on AT&T. So was I. I went to Verizon. Did you go to Verizon?
I didn't. I went to T-Mobile, and I'm in North Carolina right now in the Outer Banks and already regretting that decision because the coverage here is terrible. So,
well, and I asked because Verizon has tons of discounted bundles on streaming services.
Yes.
And T-Mobile does too.
T-Mobile does too. Yep.
I looked at that list and thought, this would take me hours in a spreadsheet to figure out if any of this is actually going to save me any money.
Right? It's so true. It's so true. Let's talk about this later in the show because
let's come back.
I have been going through the same somersaults, gymnastics in my mind. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to some good news then. And in fact, all of our stories in the audio section are good news. So let's start with the news that we've literally been waiting years for. At least they're all mostly good news. They might have downsides, but it's good news. So let's start with the one that I was the most excited about and the one we've been waiting the longest for. And that is Spotify finally launched their lossless streaming option. It's here and it's pretty good. So in terms of the actual specs of the audio quality that you're getting, it's not quite as high as some of the other services. It is a 24-bit 44.1 kilohertz FLAC streaming. Other services, when they do lossless audio, they do go up to 192 kilohertz. Listen, friends, you almost definitely can't tell the difference between 44 kilohertz and 192 kilohertz. If you can, fine. Go and pay for one of those other services. I'm telling you, the vast majority of you can't. You won't. So, where can you listen to this? On a mobile device, on a desktop, on a tablet, and on many of the Spotify Connect capable devices, but not everything. It's coming to a lot of them, though. It's coming to Sonos. It's coming to the Amazon speakers, as well as some other devices next month. So in October sometime. How do you listen to it on each device? Well, you do have to enable this per device, which I think is actually the smart way to do this. If you're on your phone and you're on your cellular connection a lot, you probably don't want to be sucking up the bandwidth that these lossless streams use because it's a lot more than some of the lower quality audio streams. So you do have to enable it per device. and you get to enable it between streaming versus download. Maybe you don't want to actually, if you're downloading, especially onto a mobile device, maybe you don't want to download the lossless version because it's going to take up a whole lot more storage on your device. So then the last and maybe most important detail about this is how much is it going to cost? Because as we kept seeing rumors about this for literally years now, it sure was giving us the impression that lossless audio was going to be a new tier on top of the Spotify premium plan. And maybe the best news of all of this is that's not the case. This is just included in the regular premium plan. And they're doing that without raising the price of the premium plan. At least not yet. Like, they will eventually, right?
I feel like they kind of had to do this, right? All the other providers did this.
Right.
Apple did this. Amazon did this as they were rolling out their lossless audio. And, Spotify has been talking about this basically since they were rolling out their lossless audio years ago.
Right.
And they all did it for free. They all just included it in your service. So they kind of had to do this.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, and in fact, the rest of the industry basically forced Tidal into decreasing the cost of their service.
I forgot about that.
Because Tidal used to be $20 a month for their lossless, like, highest quality tier. And they ended up decreasing it after Apple and Amazon and everybody else. Yeah. So last little tip for all of this. Based on what device and how you're listening to this, you may not want to enable it. If you're listening on Bluetooth device of any sort, don't enable this because you absolutely will not be able to tell the difference there because you are talking about a bit rate of audio that Bluetooth doesn't even support. So knock it off. If you're just listening on your earbuds, just leave it on high instead of highest or whatever the settings are, because you definitely won't tell a difference, except for maybe you'll notice that there's buffering because it's a lot bigger files that you're getting. So
yeah, and if you pay for a data plan or if you have a quote unlimited plan that suppresses your service after a period of time, you're just going to be churning through that faster.
Exactly. So you really only need to enable this if you have good headphones that are plugged in with a wire. Then you will probably be able to tell a difference. If you are connected to a really nice, like, home theater speaker setup, then you might tell a difference. If you're listening over anything Bluetooth, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. But man, it sounds good. I put on these cans tonight that I do this podcast with that sound really good and cranked up the audio quality, and it's nice. It's really nice.
I think that, like, a use case, this kind of falls into the use cases you were talking about, but I know that a lot of times I just put an audio app on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in fact, I'm in North Carolina now. We do that a lot so that there's just music on in the background, put the TV on in the great room. So I'd be curious to see if the TV apps are also going to get that lossless audio quality, because that would be really nice. They're often connected to a nice sound system if they're in a home theater setup.
Right. I did not check on my Google TV powered device. I should check because I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's where some of my best speakers are. Right. Cool. All right. Well, another good news story, also staying in the Spotify land. This one kind of surprised me. This one hasn't been rumored for 5 years like lossless audio. Instead, the news here is if you are not paying for Spotify, you can now actually pick the songs you want to listen to. You don't have to just pick an album or a playlist and have it shuffled for you. And you get some number of free skips within the shuffle, and hopefully maybe it eventually lands on the song you want. You can just pick the song you want to listen to now. There are still limited, some limitations. And of course, for free, you're still getting ads and all of that. But the ability to listen to what you actually want to listen to, it's improving a little bit on the Spotify side. So
that's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. All right, Richard, you bought a new phone, and I'm going to guess you bought a new iPhone.
I did. How did you guess that?
Yeah, I'm shocked. Only maybe because you've been purchasing iPhones ever since the iPhone launched.
Right.
Did you buy some new AirPods? Because there's new AirPods.
Pre-ordered the day I could. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So coming out of do we call them keynotes anymore? Coming out of the pre-recorded video promotional thing that Apple did this fall, the AirPods were my favorite thing. That was the only thing I absolutely had to get. So as soon as I could pre-order them, I did. And they have arrived. I have not set them up yet. I just really haven't had time. But yeah, so Apple announced the AirPods Pro 3, third generation of AirPods Pro, and it is a major update to what they already had, which was really, really good. Now, lots of people complain about how the AirPods don't work for them because they don't fit in their ears. They fall out or they don't isolate sound well, and they've done a number of things to address that, including adding more sets of tips that you can put on them. It used to come with 3, now it comes with 5 different sets of tips. And the tips have foam in them. It used to just be the rubberized thing. Now it's rubberized with some foam in them to further help with the isolation, which is a good thing for physical isolation. Additionally, they say that I think they said something like they've improved the active noise cancellation by 50%. I don't know how you measure stuff. I don't, right? I mean, I have no idea, but it's better. So they've done better electronics to make the noise cancellation better. They've done better physical sound isolation, and they've done a better fit. So all of that should make noise cancellation much, much better with these devices. And for me, they were already pretty good. I march onto a plane when I'm traveling with my AirPods in and my Bose headphones around my neck, just so that I have everything that I need. And part of this is because I usually get a bulkhead seat so that I have leg room. And that means I don't have my backpack available to me. So I want everything right there with me when I want to switch over. And I oftentimes forget after we've taken off to take my AirPods out and put my Bose things in because they work pretty well for me. So now it's going to be even better. And maybe I can just get away with the AirPods Pro. We'll find out. They supposedly have significantly improved audio quality. Sure, they continue to improve this insanely miniaturized audio. That's great. That's really cool. My favorite thing, I love Star Trek. And Star Trek has this idea of a universal translator where you can just automatically hear what someone is saying, whether you understand them or not, and it translates it for you. They have built that technology into this new version. Using AI and your phone, these will have the ability to translate on the fly as people are talking to you. And if you're conversing with someone else that is also wearing them and you're talking a different language, you can talk to each other and their respective languages are translated to you. If you don't have someone else that is also wearing these, you can use your phone to show the other person what you're saying, and that will help bridge that gap too. That's mind-blowing. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I know. Similar capabilities have existed in other devices, including, I think, the Pixel Buds or whatever they're called.
Yep.
But this is the first time this type of technology has come to Apple's earbuds, and I am so excited. I will be able to use this, and I'm very excited about that. And of course, there's all these kind of running jokes about people like going into the nail salon and going into other places where they generally can't understand what the team there is saying, and now they might be able to, and that'll be interesting.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to need to have little orange lights in our earbuds. No, of course. Anyway. So the other thing they do is they can track your heart rate. And that makes sense. If anybody's ever had trouble getting to sleep and you end up hearing your own heartbeat, you realize that the heartbeat is something that can be sensed through your ears. And so these will be able to track your heart rate while you're, say, running or whatever else, which is pretty cool. So all of this comes at the same price as they were before, $250. They have better battery life, 2 hours more battery life. And if you're using them for hearing and hearing only, and I do this a lot, they used to go up to just the normal 6 hours. Now it'll be up to 10 hours on one charge for just using them as hearing aids. So that gets me through a whole freaking day, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, this is all great news. Like I like to bash Apple and stuff like that as much as the next guy, but there's not really anything to complain about here. Like I think the heart rate tracking is kind of a dumb addition because I think anybody who cares about that already has an Apple Watch that's doing it for them. But whatever, like it doesn't cost more, so I guess I'm fine with that. And it clearly isn't impacting battery life all that much either. So the fact that you're getting not even just like some of these are pretty substantial improvements and the price isn't going up, that's all great news.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and I think the only thing that people were bashing on is the live translation. That's existed already in other devices. But now I have my own personal universal translator / Babelfish. I'm very excited about that.
Right. Yeah, I've never even tried that with my Pixel Buds and stuff. I'm not in places very often where people aren't speaking English, so haven't had much of a need for that. But cool. All right, let's move on to some gaming news. We'll try to keep this a little bit short. So we've known since CES that the Lenovo Legion Go 2 would be happening. The Legion Go is Lenovo's handheld Windows-based gaming PC. So sort of like a Steam Deck, but it runs Windows, or sort of like a Nintendo Switch, but it runs Windows. Switch is probably an even better comparison because it has detachable joysticks like the Switch does. So this is a follow-up to the Legion Go that came out a couple of years ago, and a follow-up to the Legion Go S, which came out earlier this year, which was a lower tiered, like lower performance, smaller screen, all of that sort of stuff. So Legion Go 2, it's the big dog. Like this is the top of the line Windows gaming handheld. And now we have all of the details, including the price. So they're keeping the screen huge. It's an 8.8-inch display. They're lowering the resolution to 1200p, which is smart because there's no reason for it to be that high res on that small of a screen. It's OLED, which is great. It does 144 hertz like the old one, but now it has variable refresh rate. And that variable refresh rate goes down into, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, it'll go all the way down to 32 hertz. So that's nice, especially on a lower powered device like this, to get VRR even at a lower frame rate is really nice to not have that screen tearing there. The detachable controllers look a whole lot more comfortable in this version, and they maintain the Hall effect joysticks. It also continues to have dual USB 4 ports on it for charging and for connecting peripherals and docks and stuff like that. They've made the battery 50% bigger than the original. And then, of course, the main stuff, it is more powerful than the previous one. So this has the AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme processor. You can get it with the regular Z2 Go, but you shouldn't. That processor just isn't that fast. It's not even really, it's maybe comparable to the Z1 Extreme in some use cases. It's not great. Don't get it. If you really don't care that much about the processor, then just get the Legion Go S because it has that processor. You want the Z2 Extreme if you're going to be doing this. they have multiple configurations, but not just between those processors, but also between how much RAM you get and how much storage. Again, you only actually care about the version with the Z2 Extreme, and there your options are really just in storage, because with the Z2 Extreme, you get 32 gigs of RAM, which is awesome. And so your choice is, do you want 1 terabyte of storage or 2? And so everything about this device physically and from specs is better than what it used to be. The Z2 Extreme, we don't have all of the benchmarks on everything and super, really detailed comparisons yet, because they haven't given enough of these out for review because they're not actually out yet. But in other testing and like early tests that people have done with the Z2 Extreme compared to the Z1 Extreme, it's better. It's not dramatically better. Maybe a game was getting you 65 frames per second. This one might be getting you 72 frames per second. And it's going to be different in every use case. It's not a revolutionary increase in performance. It is an incremental increase in performance. But you are getting a lot more RAM here. So let's talk prices, because we're talking about a pretty sweet machine here. If you want to ignore me and get the lowest option, it's still going to set you back a lot of money. The base model option with the Z2 regular processor, only 16 gigs of RAM, all of that, is still $1,100. $1,100 for the base model. The top tier, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Wow.
Remember, a Nintendo Switch 2 cost $450. The top tier model with the Z2 Extreme, 32 gigs of RAM, 2 terabytes of storage is $1,480. I also don't recommend you get that one. You should get the one step down. If you're going to get this at all, Z2 Extreme, 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte of storage, $1,350. That is still so much money for what this thing is.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Why? Why do you think this is? What is the value that they think consumers are going to see here?
So the main things that differentiate it, because we're about to see the Asus ROG Ally X. It's the Xbox ROG Ally X is coming out soon. And so that'll be the most direct comparison in terms of performance and stuff. It will have the Z2 Extreme processor. I believe it's going to have 32 gigs of storage, and I'm sure it'll have at least a terabyte of storage. The biggest difference between them, though, is the screens. That device is only a 7-inch screen. This is an 8.8-inch screen, and it's OLED, and it's variable refresh rate. So it is like everything you're looking for in the display of something like this. And if your primary use case for one of these handhelds is playing it in your hand, you're not going to get a better visual experience than this device. If you're plugging either of these devices into a computer monitor, well, then the display doesn't matter to you anymore. But you're getting all of the best possible specs in this, and especially on that OLED screen. So that's the biggest reason. Plus, that's a lot of RAM. I think it's the right amount of RAM, because you can dedicate a whole lot more of that system RAM to being video RAM when you have that much to spare. But it's just so much money. And we don't know yet how much the Asus ROG Ally X is going to cost. Even though it ships in less than a month, they haven't given us pricing on it. So I think you have to assume that tariffs factor into this too.
Yeah, I would assume that's true. But the thing is, as we know, when prices go up, they don't come down.
No, they do not. But Lenovo devices regularly go on sale. That was true for the original Legion Go. It'll be true for this too. And so if you do really want this, maybe just wait for a sale, because it will eventually go on sale. What I would recommend is, if you're like me and you already have a regular Legion Go, or maybe you've got an existing higher end device like an ROG Ally or something like that, I'd none of this seems like enough to justify the upgrade right now. It's not going to be that much better performance. Now, if you've got an ROG Ally and you're like, yeah, I'm sick of this 7-inch screen nonsense. I want that 8.8-inch screen. I'm old like Josh, and I don't want to squint to see everything. I want the bigger screen. Fine. Then go ahead and do that. But if you've got a regular Legion Go, I would have a hard time recommending paying almost $1,400 to upgrade to this. It's just so much money. And speaking of so much money, let's move on to the other sad story. Yeah, we've kind of only got sad stories in the gaming section because this one's another price increase, this time on the Xbox consoles. And this is the second time this year. So as a reminder, as a preface to this whole story, I bought my Xbox Series X when they first came out in November of 2020. It was $500. Now we've seen 2 price increases on the Xbox consoles this year. Let's look at the Xbox Series S. The 1 terabyte version at the beginning of this year was $350. In May, that price went up to $430. This was after the first round of tariffs. And now, starting next month, that 1 terabyte Series S, so that is the lower spec Xbox, will be $450 when these things used to be $300. The Xbox Series X, this is the one that you probably care the most about. If you want digital, like AKA you don't want the disk drive, it used to be $450. In May, it went up to $550, and now it's going up to $600. And the Series X with the disk drive, again, like I told you, it used to be $500. In May, it went up to $600, and now it's going up to $650 for the same Xbox that I bought for $500. And you could have bought for $500 6 months ago.
Yeah. And I bought the S when it came out for the rental property. We have one here for our guests to use when they come. And at $350, it was an easy choice. At $100 more, it's like, wow, that's really getting up there. That's close to what the X used to cost.
Right. Exactly. And what's their reasoning for it? Well, they say it's due to changes in the macroeconomic environment, aka tariffs. Yeah.
Right.
It's tariffs.
Yeah. And in fairness, I mean, we're also still seeing inflation that hasn't really gone down from the time that the S came out to now. We've had waves of inflation that we haven't seen really in decades.
Right.
So this is kind of catching up to that a little bit, but it still bites.
Yeah. That is a very fair point. Like I said, the Series S and X came out in November of 2020. We didn't really see inflation starting to rise until 2021, 2022. And so there was some catching up to be done in there for sure. And then it got worse with tariffs. So yeah, this stinks. How does that compare to PlayStation? Well, PlayStation, the top tier model, the PlayStation Pro, is $750. The digital is $500, and the Slim, which is the same thing as the digital, except it's got a 4K drive, is $550. So, I mean, the Slim with the 4K drive, $550, that is comparable. That was $500 when it launched in 2020, and now it's $550. For the Xbox Series X, it went from $500 to $650, which to me just says a PlayStation is going to increase their prices soon, because why wouldn't they? And they've already increased prices in basically every other market in the world except for here.
But they've only done one wave of that elsewhere, right?
Yeah. So the second wave seems imminent now because Xbox paved the way for it. So it does make me wonder, what's the next, we're probably going to get next generation consoles in maybe 2027. How much is the next Xbox going to cost me? It feels like it's going to be at least $700 at this point.
I think that's hard to predict, right? There's so many factors that go into that. I say prices don't go down, but there's always a possibility that they could come up with an economical way of producing something that would allow them to come in at a lower price than you're currently seeing on some of these devices.
It is possible.
That's 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But start saving your pennies, folks, if you're thinking about a next generation console. All right. Well, we're going to end all of that news with that bad news. And now we're going to move on to the even more fun segment of the show and talk about what's been going on in our entertainment centers. Richard, I bet it's a lot.
It is a lot. It's been a month and a half. So, you know that I was capitulating between projector or big TV, and eventually everybody talked me into big TV, even though I was like, nope, I'm going projector, and I gave in and I went big TV, and I ultimately ended up purchasing a TCL 98-inch LCD quantum dot mini LED TV. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. It was a bear to put on the wall. Let me tell you.
I bet. Did you do it yourself?
No.
Okay.
No. Are you kidding me? No. And happily, our friends over at the Home Tech podcast talked me out of trying to put the mount on the wall permanently until I actually had the television in hand, because they're like, you never know. Like, you could go to spec and assume that everything is going to line up the way that you want to. And Josh, I would have been like 9 inches off, close to a foot off the height that I wanted this thing.
Wow.
If I had actually mounted the wall mount where I thought it was supposed to go based on reading all the documentation.
Yikes.
So thanks to TJ and Owen and everybody else over in the Slack group there from talking me down into waiting until the TV arrived. So I did that, got it mounted with some friends, got that up on the wall. It is absolutely beautiful. I passed the wiring behind the wall. I installed an outlet behind it and everything, which actually made mounting it challenging, because of course a television doesn't come with a flat plug. Why would you want a flat plug for your television that is going to have to be flush against the wall, and you're probably going to be hiding an outlet behind the wall for that plug? You would want a plug where the cord sticks straight out toward the television for it, right? Wouldn't you want that? I don't know what these manufacturers are thinking, but got it up, and I'm very, very excited about it. Absolutely love it. So that's that. Other hardware stuff going on. I don't know if you remember this. I think we talked about this a while ago. Someone had written in to let us know that Synology was going to be removing the onboard local video transcoding from their devices, which assists in getting content out to your devices that access video on your Synology box. So if, for example, I'm dialing in from my iPhone, I'm using my iPhone to watch something remotely on Plex. Plex can dynamically transcode that on the fly using local transcoding by the Synology box so that it sends me the optimized stream. Well, they're disabling that. The latest versions of the OS that are available are taking that capability away from the device that you already purchased, which is just bonkers to me. I knew that this was no longer available on newer Synologies, but they're removing the capability from existing boxes, which I just don't understand.
That sucks.
So I can't decide if I should actually update my OS on my Synology now. Usually I just do it every time there's an update. And they were at least forthright enough to have an alert that warns you that this capability is going to be disabled if you upgrade to the new version of the OS. So I've so far opted not to anymore. And I don't really know what to do. Their excuse, reason, explanation, whatever you want to call it, is that devices can transcode on the fly now. So we don't have to do the transcoding at the server anymore. Your devices can do it. Well, yeah, sure. But that means you're sending more over the wire every single time.
Yeah. Ugh.
So it's very frustrating. I don't really know what to do. I would love to hear from other listeners to find out if they have made a decision on how they are handling this. Because I don't want to do it.
Is this primarily for, like, your use case here? Is this primarily for Plex or something else?
This is primarily for Plex. This is really the only thing that I use video transcoding on this box is Plex.
And is this box also your Plex server, or do you have a different PC acting as the Plex server?
No, it is my Plex server.
Well, then Plex is already doing this for you, right?
Yeah, but Plex takes advantage of hardware transcoding if it's available on the device. So yes, it is. I guess I could turn Plex hardware transcoding off and see how it behaves otherwise.
But Plex will also do it at the server level for you.
Right. Meaning through software.
It might do it through hardware too.
Right. If you tell it to use the hardware transcoding. But if your hardware isn't going to allow that anymore, isn't going to do that.
Oh, that's okay.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but this is what I've gathered from what I've read so far and what I've heard others talking about on forums. So,
okay, because I was interpreting this as like, if you're using some Synology software to access the videos, it won't do the transcoding for you anymore. But if they're like disabling this, like in the BIOS,
they are disabling hardware transcoding through this upgrade, supposedly. That's my understanding.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't get it. So let me know. Maybe I'm completely wrong, or if I'm not, what have y'all done? How have you handled this? I'm really curious. All right, moving on. You mentioned you bought a new phone. I bought a new phone. I wasn't planning to buy a new phone. I was really tempted by the new phone, but then I was like, I don't really need one. And then I started to do the numbers. I'm like, wait a minute. I paid, I don't know, maybe like $30 or $40 a month for my last iPhone, plus my service through AT&T. If I go to T-Mobile, then I'll be able to get a phone for $9 a month for 2 years.
Yeah.
Plus my service, which is about the same as what I was paying before. That's a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. That's an absolute no-brainer. So I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll switch to T-Mobile. For surprise, service sucks, at least where I am right now. But we'll find out how it is when I get home. They also offer all of these discounts, like you were saying, Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, Apple TV Plus. I can get discounts on all of these things. I already have all these things. So it means I have to figure out the math for, all right, well, will I save money? Am I in a position where I can take advantage of this because maybe I already have it through some other bundle where I can't get the discount? So I already updated my Netflix and I'm saving like $7 a month on my Netflix. Yay, that's good. Like I mentioned before, I don't know how I'm going to handle my Hulu. It's coming up. It's time for me to renew in the next 2 months. So do I do a bundle through them? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. Paramount Plus, I already get through, and I get at a discounted rate through Walmart Plus, so I can't take advantage of that. And Apple TV Plus, I get through my Apple One subscription, so I can't take advantage of that. But it's still pretty cool that you get these discounts on all these other things. So it kind of made up for not getting that free HBO Max tier anymore. But that whole HBO Max with Disney bundle made me wonder, was I ever getting HBO Max with 4K? Maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was just getting the HD version. I don't know.
Well,
right.
Yeah. And maybe you don't want to know.
Maybe I don't want to know. But now I want the 4K. That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of 4K, as I mentioned, I'm down at a rental place. It's our fall maintenance visit. And so I plugged in my Google TV and it told me that I was out of memory and I needed to delete some stuff. And if you remember, the Google TV Chromecast devices don't have a whole lot of memory. So I thought, yeah, maybe it's time to upgrade. Maybe I'll get that $99 Google streaming thing that they replaced as an alternative to the Chromecast. It's a set-top box now, or set-side box, whatever you call it. And so I started looking around and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I can pick one up at Walmart. So I went to Walmart, and Walmart has the ON devices that we've talked about.
That I have.
And so instead, I bought a 4K streaming TV device for $29 from Walmart.
And
it's working great. Yeah. And I have the one that has the speaker on it, and I use that at home, but I thought, well, I don't need that while I'm here on site at the rental property. I just need something that's going to give me normal Google TV experience. So $30, win. Also, I like the remote, so that's good too.
Yeah, they're not bad remotes.
Yeah. Not bad at all. All right. So what have what's been going on in terms of what we're watching? So I have finished watching The Sandman. Edward and I were watching that and we loved it. We watched both seasons. Highly, highly recommend, particularly if you're into like the Greek lore of the gods and all that. They do a really good job of tying all that stuff in, which is kind of cool. I finished watching Strange New Worlds season 3. It was good. Wasn't great. First 2 seasons were better, but I look forward to a 4th season. I am almost finished watching Welcome to Wrexham season 4. I know, I'm way behind, but I'm enjoying that. And it was really fun watching it on the big 98-inch television. I loved that. Then Edward and I watched all of Wednesday season 2, parts 1 and 2 of that season 2 came out during this gap since our last episode. And we watched all of that. It was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I cannot recommend that series enough to anybody who's into the Addams Family stuff. And it's so well done. So well done. We also watched all of Mid-Century Modern, a quick, I think, 10 episode series that was on Hulu. I think it's been renewed for another season. That was pretty fun. I, of course, am watching my guilty pleasure, Big Brother, and that's been good. It's been pretty good this season. A bunch of dumb players, as there always are, but I'm still enjoying it. And we started watching some new stuff. So we started watching a show that I'm going to credit listener John for bringing to my attention, The Last Right, and that would be spelled Wright. This is about a mother and daughter who purchased a Frank Lloyd Wright property, and when they purchased that property, as part of that sale, they acquired the plans for the last home that Frank Lloyd Wright ever designed and hadn't yet been built.
Whoa.
And through the Magnolia Network, they are documenting their efforts to build that house on that property.
That's awesome.
It's really, really cool. And the level of detail and information that Frank Lloyd Wright put into building a house. I am a big, huge Frank Lloyd Wright fan. I have dozens of books about Frank Lloyd Wright. I have visited so many properties, and I had no idea how much he put into the details of properties. He specified like the bolts that they were supposed to use and the manufacturer and all of everything, every little detail he specified. And so part of the interesting part of the series is trying to figure out 50 years after this design had been completed, how do you actually adapt that to what exists today? Because most of the companies of the materials that he recommended using, among which were asbestos panels. Most of the manufacturers don't exist anymore. So it's if you're into architecture, if you're into Frank Lloyd Wright, I can't recommend it enough. It is on the Magnolia Network, and so therefore it is on HBO Max. Love it, love it, love it. Been watching that, and watch the new episodes the day they come out. Absolutely enjoying that. Then started watching one of those short form video. I don't even know what I would call them. They're like these series that they have on HBO Max, and I think they're from either Magnolia or HGTV, where they're like 8 or 9 minute videos, and they chronicle different types of buildings or structures. And there was a series about little inns, and this is a series about beach cottages specifically, which you might imagine as an owner of a beach rental, I'm kind of interested in. So I'm watching this thing called Cottage Chronicles. And again, it's just short 8 to 10 minute videos, but properly formatted for your television, thankfully. And they're beautiful. They're very well produced. They talk to the owners of these properties and how they came to be and learning about the background. I absolutely love it. We restarted watching the show Foundation. And I say restarted because when it came out, I thought, oh, this looks interesting. And I watched the first episode and I thought, that wasn't really very interesting. So Edward found out about the show and said, hey, we should look into this. And I said, yeah, I tried it. And so we are now 2 episodes in, and I'm more interested after episode 2. So I guess this is one of those that's a slow burn up front, and we'll see how much we stick with it. But yeah. And then I got back to watching Severance season 2 because I never finished that. And I got back to and finished the Bob Newhart Show season 3. There's only 3 more seasons to go. Also started watching an animated Predator movie on Hulu. Don't know if you heard about this or not. Looked interesting to me. It was interesting. Edward did not like it, so we stopped watching it. I will probably finish watching it because I think it was pretty good. And that's it as far as movies. We haven't really watched any other movies. I ordered and have received the DVD, the 4K Blu-ray for the new Jurassic Park or World movie, whatever they're calling it.
World, yeah.
And so I will likely end up watching that probably while we're down here through streaming. But otherwise, we haven't really watched movies. And for reading, I am reading the book Transformed, which is a book about the product operating model. There we go. Whew. You can tell never mind. Product operating model. I'm a product guy. This is interesting to me. I just forgot the words. That's all. All right, Josh. Whew.
That's a lot.
What are you doing? You got a new phone. You have been playing games. 6 weeks have gone by. What's going on?
Yeah, it's not as much fun stuff as you would expect in 6 weeks, mostly because my life has been insane. So, yes, I got a new phone. I considered the iPhone, Richard. In fact, I realized, although I didn't really realize this until after I had already purchased the new phone, I realized if ever there was the perfect time for me to switch to iPhone, this is the time, because I'm ready for a new phone and I'm ready for a new watch. And so it would have been an okay time to switch, because like that was one of the problems. Was I could switch to iPhone whenever, but then my Samsung Galaxy Watch isn't going to work with it. So what am I going to do instead?
Right.
But I didn't. Instead, I stuck with Android, got the Pixel 10 Pro XL or whatever order all of those words go in, and love it. It's great. You know, it's not radically different from the 6 Pro that I had before, but it's faster and bigger and better. It is supposed to support Auracast, but for some reason, Auracast is not working yet with Google Pixel Buds Pro 2. That's weird and annoying. Although those are the only two devices I have, so it's not like I'd be able to test another device to see that whole thing actually in action. So,
yeah,
but
at
I
least
want
they're
to.
supposed to do Oracast.
Yeah, exactly. So I like the new phone. Switched to Verizon. Did not want to deal with AT&T's network anymore. So far, so good with Verizon. And yeah, about the same deal. Like, I think I'm paying $5 a month for this phone, so I'll take it. Games. I have finally finished Claire Obscure Expedition 33. For those of you tracking along at home, I started this in April.
Yeah.
And this isn't supposed to be that long of a game. I think I clocked in 36, 37 hours or something like that. Could have played it for way more. There's a lot of stuff I didn't do, a lot of side content and stuff. This game is so damn good. It is so good. This better win game of the year. The story is so well done and so interesting. The gameplay mechanics are so deep, and like there's so much in this game that they didn't have to put in to a budget $50 game, and they still did. And it blows me away. It's so good. I'm sure there will be a sequel. My biggest concern is that they're just going to make the sequel even bigger, and it's going to take me even longer to get through as a middle-aged man with kids and so many other things going on in my life. The new NHL game came out, NHL 26. This is the first year in a while that I did not just immediately pre-order the game. I've not paid for it at all yet, but with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, that includes the EA subscription service also, which means that you get a 10-hour free trial for all EA games, basically. So I've played a couple of hours of the trial of NHL 26, and for the one mode of it that I play, which is the online mode called Chell, it feels pretty much the same as it has for the last 3, 4, 5 years, which is to say, meh. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to actually buy it this year. This would be the first time I don't buy it in like 7 years. I might just wait for it to come to Game Pass. It's not significantly better. All of the people that I used to play with don't seem to really be playing anymore. So I will occasionally pick it up, I guess, while I've got it as a trial. And then I don't remember when this comes to Game Pass typically. It'd be nice if it was like January. But now my brain is making me think that it's not until April. So maybe when it goes on sale at Christmas, I'll buy it or something like that. It's just fine. Movies, I don't think we've watched any movies in the last month or so, other than they put Hamilton in theaters for a brief period of time. And my family friggin' loves Hamilton. And so a couple of weeks ago, we went to see Hamilton in theaters, and they started with like 10 minutes of extra bonus content of interviewing some of the actors and stuff of, what's your life been like after Hamilton? And that content was interesting. And the rest of it was just Hamilton as it is on Disney Plus, including the entire intermission.
Yeah.
Like, why do I need the intermission when I'm at a movie theater? I mean, I guess for the same reason
because
you need an intermission in a regular
you can get up
Broadway
and go
show.
to the bathroom and get popcorn and
I guess.
Yeah. No, it's long. It's long.
Yeah, it's almost 3 hours. All right, well then fine. Like, let me go the other direction then. From now on, for all movies that are more than 2.5 hours long,
right?
Let's put in, but let's only do a 5-minute intermission instead of a 10-minute intermission.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to get a lot of people through a bathroom.
Yes,
right?
And popcorn.
You need more time than that.
Maybe.
I miss the intentional intermission that used to be included in old long movies like Gone with the Wind and The Sound of Music and stuff like that. They had a built-in intermission.
Yeah. Maybe we need to bring it back. Maybe you're right. So TV. We started watching Tracker, which is a CBS show, and we've been watching it on Hulu. Which is
so weird. I don't really understand that. It's available on both Paramount Plus and Hulu.
Right. Yes. I'm thankful that Hulu still has weird relationships with other providers. Yeah, because I don't want Paramount. I mentioned that earlier in the episode. So this is a procedural show. Like pretty much every episode is a standalone thing. There's a couple of threads that continue on about the main character's past life and all of that. But it's just about a guy who, like, his job is finding missing people, basically. And it's good. It's not great. It's good. If you want a show that doesn't require that much thought, and especially if you want a show where the main character dude is eye candy, then you've got that going for you.
I was gonna say is easy to look at.
Is easy to look at. Yep. Which made it a whole lot easier to sell to like my wife and daughter. The actor is good. He is let down by the writing. The writing in the show is not always all that great.
That's a shame because he is a very good actor.
He is. And so Jen like reads like crazy, and she's like, "These are based on books. Maybe I should try the books." The writing in the books is even worse than the writing in the shows. Like, don't read the books. They're even worse, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's a fun show. Yeah, it's a fun show. So
this is something I've wanted to watch for a long time. This is a very, very similar concept to a show from the last decade called The Finder that starred Jeff Stoltz, who I forget what he was in. He like one of those, I don't know, one of those CW shows or something like that. And but he never got a second season. So this is, I think, already on its second season.
And the third season starts next month, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So since it has longevity, I may actually try it and go with it. Because I do like him. I think he's a good actor. And they were advertising the heck out of this when it debuted. And there's just too much other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot. Like I think the second season is 20 episodes, which is practically unheard of nowadays.
I miss that. I really, really miss that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of the reason for that is because it is a major network. And so they're trying to fill a full season. You know, like a partial buy is still 13 episodes for a network. And then a full buy is something between 20 and 24, which is almost unheard of nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. So it's worth checking out. And if you don't like it after the first episode, you're probably not going to like it. Like, I don't think this is going to become appointment viewing for anybody, but it's a fun show. And then I felt required to watch the brand new show on Peacock called The Paper. Required because this is sort of like a follow-up / spinoff of The Office.
Oh, it totally is. It's not a sort of, it totally is.
Yeah. It's that same sort of thing where it's like a TV crew is following people around at their workplace. It is not a paper company, or like The Office was, despite the fact that it's called The Paper. It is a newspaper. And the reason why I feel required and compelled to watch this is it takes place in Toledo, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Which is where I live.
All right.
And so there is a bunch of real Toledo stuff that happens. And so it's fun to just watch and be like, oh, that coffee mug, that's the Toledo Public Library logo on that mug. And mentioning like the local sports team and, you know, things like that.
And are they good with it, or are they like messing it up?
Most of it's been good so far. We've not finished the first season yet. There are a couple of things that aren't real. Like they don't use the actual Toledo skyline. They're using a bigger city for sure. Not dramatically bigger.
I don't understand. Why do shows do that? I don't
know. But it's definitely not Toledo.
That's frustrating.
There have been a couple of ones where they're like, you know, we're going to go to such and such park. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not a real park in Toledo. Do I care? Not really. Would it be cooler if it was an actual park? Absolutely. But a lot of the other stuff is real. Maybe one of the things that I love the most that is a real connection to Toledo is in the intro sequence. They briefly show this wall that has a mural on it that just says Toledo loves love. And it's such an awesome mural. It's super colorful. The message is great. And it's prominent in the intro for the show. So I love that aspect of it.
Cool.
Yeah. So
it's kind of like the Austin is weird of Toledo, right? Or keep Austin weird.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of
thing.
And so if this show wasn't in Toledo, I probably wouldn't keep watching it. Like, it's fine. And I think for people who still love The Office and that sort of humor, I think you're going to really like it. I think I've kind of moved past that. You know, we've talked on this show a bunch that I'm not the guy who's super into comedy.
Yeah.
There's plenty of stuff that I'm laughing at. I mean, it's way funnier than can we just sidebar for a second? When Jimmy Kimmel or whatever his name is got booted off of TV last week, I thought, well, good. They should boot him off because he's not funny. I don't care about his politics. He's just not funny. I'm just not that into comedy that much. So maybe the comedy of this is great. I'm not the right judge for whether or not this is a great comedy, but it's been a fun show, especially if you like The Office sort of thing. It really leans into all of The Office type things. So,
yeah, I do want to watch that. That's another thing they were promoting the heck out of when it launched, and I just did not get a chance to start it.
Yeah. And I think they launched all of it immediately, put all of the episodes out immediately on Peacock.
Yep.
And now I think I heard that it is coming to actual TV.
That was smart.
Yeah.
Wow. That's devious.
Yeah. Get it sooner if you sign up for the subscription service. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's not a bad idea. And then football season is back and my Lions are awesome. So,
good.
Football.
That just game went on forever and ever. We have guests watching it.
I hate Monday Night Football. I'm too old for Monday Night Football. Like, I just want to go to bed. Why does this game have to start at 8:30 on a school night? I want to go to bed.
I just wanted to watch something else on the TV. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, football is always going to be roughly 3 hours long, but so maybe let's not start it at 8:30. That'd be nice. Yeah. Okay, books. You mentioned Foundation as a TV show, and I learned that this is a show based on a series of novels from Isaac Asimov, and thought, well, maybe I should read some of the books. Ooh, boy, there's a bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of them. And he wrote the first few in like the 60s or whatever. And then in the 80s, he came back and was like, we need some prequels. Yes, that's plural. So I was like, well, he thinks there needed to be prequels, so I guess I'll start at the prequels. And so audiobook versions, I read the first prequel, which is called Prelude to Foundation. Finished that. Almost done with the second one, which I think is the last prequel, which is called Forward the Foundation. I think these have been very enjoyable books. The second one gets a little bit long. It is almost 17 hours as an audiobook.
Wow.
And I'm curious to see how it's going to wrap up and curious to see how the first book goes. And I think after I read like the first regular book, so I guess the third book in the series, that's when I plan to start watching the TV show. Because so far the preludes have been good enough for that I'm like, yes, I think I want to watch this, but I'm curious what happens between the prelude and the actual show, because I think it's going to be completely different characters and probably some number of years in the future after these preludes is my guess. But I don't know, because I know literally nothing about the TV show.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll have to compare notes once I get there. If you're still watching the show.
Yeah, well, that's like, I wonder if we'll last, but I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'm sure you will on the next episode of this, which I'm sure will be in a week.
Or more likely.
I'm trying to be optimistic, Richard.
Weeks.
trying to be optimistic.
Well, so as I mentioned, I'm in North Carolina. I know that it will not be possible for me to join you next week.
Okay.
It would likely be possible the week after. We'll have to check on that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Well, that is it for what's going on in our entertainment centers. So if you'd like to get a hold of us for a future episode and find all of our show notes and all of that stuff, everything is over at thedigitalmediazone.com. That's where you can subscribe and find all the show notes with links to everything we talked about. Like if you're wondering, Josh didn't mention the specific Disney bundle that I have and how much that's going to cost. You can click the link in our show notes and find out. You can also get all of our contact information. I'm on Twitter, sort of, at Josh Pollard. So is the website at DigiMediaZone. Richard and I are both on Mastodon and Blue Sky. Richard is Richard Gunther on Mastodon and richardgunther.com on Blue Sky. I'm just Josh Pollard on both of them. And that is going to do it for episode 691. He's Richard Gunther, and I'm Josh Pollard. Thanks for listening to Entertainment 2.0. Adios.
Goodbye. Woo, that was a long one.